Okay guys, welcome back. This is going to be a quick demo. I just want to show you my strategy on dimensioning on Revit. So let me first start all over here. I'm going to just select all instance, delete that. So in architectures, often you have a lot of information. You're calling stuff out. You have these elevation symbols. You have these section symbols. In our office, we like to use grid lines. And so there's a lot of stuff happening right immediately outside of the wall, right? And so we need to kind of organize so that it reads a little better. So first, I like to move my dimension of grid lines way out to the top. Again, that already gives me a lot of breathing room here. Now, of course, depending on the size of the house, you may not have that luxury, but this is just kind of general rule of thumb. And then I like to have all my section lines and my elevation lines a little bit tight to the wall, and of course all my text. If I have a lot of text, this is where all the text will go. So now let's start the dimensioning. So the first thing I like to dimension is the overall width of the entire house. So I'm going to go to my dimension tool here, and I'm going to go from grid line 1. And my whole width is to grid line 10. So that's my first line of dimensioning. It's the entire house. And then my second line of dimension, I like to define the various areas of the house. So for instance, I'll take the same dimension line, and I'll take that. But here's the living room, and this is the main line here, so I'll take that. And then I may also stop here at grid line 4, grid line 7, 8, 9. So then now all of these dimensions here should add up to 7610 up on the top. My third line of dimension are all the detail stuff. So for instance, I don't have to dimension anything additional here. But here I have some windows that I have to locate. So I'm going to go down here, and I'm going to start at grid line 2. Windows, I like to locate the center line of windows, if it allow me. Here it is. So what the contractor will do is he'll find the center line based on my dimension, and then he'll go to the window schedule and figure out the width, and whatever's left over of the wall, it is what is left over. Over here, I have a couple of different ways of dimensioning. One would be to dimension only one side of the window. So you would never dimension both sides like that. Even though that is a 3-foot window, for a contractor, he has to make that opening a little bit more than 3 feet. So we don't want to lock him down to this 3-foot dimension. So you never want to dimension both sides of the window. So in this case, I'll dimension this, or I can just dimension to the center of the window, just like I did earlier. But I'll give you a slightly different example. I'll dimension to one side of the window, and then I'll dimension to one side of the door, or the center. One is fine. But if you dimension to the side of the door, do not dimension the other side. Then I'm going to also dimension one side of the window, and then close out that dimension over here. So what I'm saying is, I'm telling the contractor, hey, give me a stud at 4 foot away from this corner, figure out what this opening needs to be, and then fill out the rest of the wall. So I'm actually not being very specific there. I'm having them kind of be able to work that out on the field. And then we're going to continue. In this case, I'm going to actually select this dimension line and then come up here and say edit, which means that I want to continue that line. Again, there's nothing to dimension here. So actually I will not do that because it'll be the same number as 15 feet 8. But I'll start the dimensioning back here again, from here to the center line. And this time I am jumping around in this example, but I would advise that either you do center line or one side of the window and doors, okay? though, so don't jump around like I'm doing in this particular example. And then I'm going to go to edit so that I can dimension this guy too. And that should do it. Now these dimension lines get really long, and in general I try not to cross dimension lines, but it's actually impossible to not have any dimension line crossing. So let me give you an example here. I'm going to go from this grid line all the way to the exterior wall here. Again, I think I'm going to turn off my crop view. So again, my grid lines are too close. I think I prefer the grid lines to be outside of my dimension lines. And then you see how these things are crossing. So you could kind of make a judgment call. I'm going to call this my major line, which defines the envelope of my building. So what I like to do is I like to bring that line a little bit higher, and and hopefully the contractor can connect the dot and realize that this dimension is really pointing to this window here. I realize it's a little bit far. I don't think it matters tomato if you kind of crossed the dimension line and kept it close to this. That would be fine too. When we're hand drafting, we're able to erase some of this and kind of make it look a little bit nicer. But in Revit, I'd either do this or pull it back. Okay, so that's my little 2 cents on dimension. Hopefully you enjoy the previous video of the YouTube channel where he describes the dimension tool in totality. So good luck to you, and I'll see you in the next video.